As Kashmir continues to remain under curfew and the information blackout continues in the state, we're getting to know now that 400 people, including several public figures, have now been detained by the government and are not being allowed to come out and express their views to the public. This includes obviously former Chief Ministers Omar, Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti, who had been detained on the night before the announcement made by the government of the sort of revocation of Article 370 and the reorganization. So on the night of 4th August itself, these people had been detained. Now we're learning that not just political figures like them, but even business leaders like former Kashmir Chamber of Commerce President Mubin Shah have been arrested. We've also heard that the Kashmir Bar Association President Mian Qayyum has been detained. But what we're not hearing at all is, what is the basis for any of this? What are the grounds? How can you possibly just be putting all these people into jail and detaining them? Well, the answers are here in the Jammu and Kashmir Public Safety Act 1978. According to Section 8 of this Act, any person can be detained if there is a risk that they could commit acts which are prejudicial to either public order or the security of the state. Now, it is unclear what the grounds for arresting and detaining Mehbooba Mufti and Omar Abdullah are, and what the grounds for Mubin Shah and Mian Qayyum are. And the biggest problem of this all is that they themselves may not have been informed at this point. While there's obviously the media aren't being informed of this, but even they may not be told, because under Section 13 of this Act, anyone who is detained under it doesn't have to be given the reasons of the arrest for up to 10 days. I mean, yes, it says you have to do it as early as possible, but it allows the authorities to not give information about this for up to 10 days. So which means Abdullah and Mufti may not know about why they've been detained. Is it because of a risk to public order or to security of the state, till the 14th of August. And if that's not bad enough, that it's the delays in this whole system extend even further. Now you might be thinking, sure, okay, I've not been given the reasons, I'll be in jail for a few days, but I'll be able to challenge it once I know what it is. But even if you know the grounds, you can't even challenge it for quite a while under this system, because the way the challenge system works is that there are advisory boards which are to be set up in the state, and those advisory boards have to look at whether or not a particular detention is legal or not. And they are only supposed to start looking into the matter after 4 weeks from the detention has taken place, and their order gets only passed 8 weeks after the detention is passed. So what you're looking at is, at the earliest, if there is no merciful reaction by the government to release all these people, if they're going to try and challenge their detentions, they're looking at least 2 months before they could possibly be released. And if the advisory board actually finds that they do need to be kept in detention, well, that means they could be in jail for up to 2 years, because if the grounds provided by the government are that they are a risk, that they could potentially be a risk to the security of the state, the time specified is 2 years. If it's public order, then they can be held in detention for up to 1 year. So that's what you have in terms of this act. Is there any other way of challenging it? Well, I mean, they could try to go to the High Courts or to the Supreme Court, but obviously with their lack of access, it's going to be difficult. Someone else would have to file a habeas corpus petition, but then this law is actually what applies. Ironically, when they were in government, Abdullah and Mufti could have potentially tried to change this act, but they didn't. They also failed to, in fact, set up a number of these advisory boards as required, as an RTI in Jammu and Kashmir revealed, and they've also failed to actually set up the rules for how this whole system is supposed to operate, which again is something they should have been doing many years before. And the fact that they haven't done it is potentially coming back to bite them. But in addition to these detentions which we're seeing, which there are questions about detaining business leaders under this kind of provision, because what exactly are you saying that they or the president of the Bar Association is going to do? Are they going to go and instigate riots? Are they going to go and instigate problems between different communities? It's difficult to see how these could be justified. But the law allows them obviously to be detained for up to 2 months without any action being taken against them. There's also the question of Ghulam Nabi Azad being turned back from the airport. Well, again, this act again is what probably provides the basis for this, because it allows certain areas to be designated as prohibited or protected areas, and then people may be prohibited from entering those areas. However, this normally refers to a particular place within, say, Jammu and Kashmir or a troubled sector. But what they've done with Azad, they say that the whole of Kashmir is a protected area when it comes to him, and that's difficult to see how that will stand. So of course that's something which he's going to have to try and take up in the courts. In the meanwhile, we'll be waiting to see whether the government justifies the grounds for the detention orders and actually stops detaining hundreds of people for very scant reasons whatsoever.